All right, cool. Y'all know what it is. It's your boy Kamal Hart back on the charts. We're gonna go bar. Kind of a slow day though. Um, Memorial weekend is on, or Memorial Day is on Monday. So the volume today was a little thin, and I think that's kind of why it is important to break down today's chart. Man, let me do some real quick because I know I'm gonna get interrupted if I don't. But yeah, today was one of those days where with the low volume and everything, you know, you just kind of have to take your time. Honestly, for me, there's not really much of a difference on these days other than just be patient. It's not a good day to try to make back your losses. You know, take good trades and good spots and just accept that. Because it's just a little slow. So there might not be as many opportunities to just come back from stupid trades, things like that. So off the top, pre-market, we have this bull leg up, and then we're kind of ranging both sides of the EMA. So I would probably start off my lows in here. You know, as always, close is usually good enough. So I'm not going to spend too much time between ticks. And then for the highs, I kind of like the highs there. What's that? 42.1650. So kind of like this range to start the day off. And I think the only other things I'd be doing pre-market are measuring this as like one and potentially, what I would really look for is when we break off this high side and get some sort of breakout pullback, then I would take this measured move to the lowest leg if it's here or wherever in the future. So for now, let's just play that. Um, we just had a second entry long trigger. This is actually it's not a really good trade, but it's an okay trade. Um, we're not going to mark it though. One, because it's a little bit before when I would have shown up at 6. And it is congestive, and it's congestive in a couple different ways. I've been using this technique this week because it has been relatively choppy in general this week. And what I don't like to see more accurately, are 3 bars stacked up together, and each one, the open and close, is within the larger bar. So if you look right here, we have this opening range bar, and then this bar, its open and close are within the body of this bar. Even though it moved lower, I still kind of see that as um, like failures and traps and things like that, right? As we always say, it's really important for price to close above a certain level. And so even in these situations, even this bar right here, when it moved lower to 42.0775, it still came back and closed within the range of this red bar. So that's telling me that this zone is congestion. It's some sort of range. It's on a small scale. I don't necessarily carry this out for the rest of the day, but this just helps me stay out of stupid trades when one, it's low volatility, and it's choppy. So, and then even here, there's another one right here, right? And so it doesn't matter how you play it because you generally end up in the same situation. Let's say if you played it like this, you're taking along on the low side of this lower congestion zone. And the main thing you want to be careful about is when price gets up to this level, you want to cover as much of your profit as you can, or you just set your take profit to a tick before or on it, whatever you feel comfortable with. So this trade still works out if you measure it or if you look at this congestion kind of like the way I've described. But what I want to do as well is talk about an even better idea, and you would have been rewarded for being early in this situation. So let's say we're looking at the price, and then we get this big opening green bar. That's a bar that opens and closes inside of the open and close of this green bar, right? We don't care. That's like a false breakout. And then here's another bar that opens and closes within the range of this green bar. So right there, um, we're looking at, it's a little crooked. I don't feel like fixing it. We're looking at an opening range like that. Actually, I lied. I do kind of feel like fixing it. I'm a little ADD like that. Um, okay, so now we're looking at this opening range. Now back to where we were, we get this breakout. And what do we always say with these breakouts? I want to see price break above a previous bar and close below that bar, right? So everything that's happening here, I'm treating this as like a failed breakout, right? And then when I see this second entry long off those highs, that almost confirms that, okay, yes, this is a failed breakout. And now we're expecting a test of this 1175 level and then potentially the 1275 level. Breaks above, still a little choppy. It might make people a little nervous. Let's see how much you get though on this. I like to measure for 1.5 R. Um, I don't know if that goes all the way up there. Okay, by a tick. So yeah, even on a day like today, you can still get 1.5 R in the right places. I wouldn't be as liberal with every trade, um, but as you can see, you'll still kind of get decent plays. And I'm spending time talking about this because I mean, there's not as many trades today, so hopefully we can go more in depth on certain um, techniques on how to read these sort of choppy days. Okay, so anyway, that's our open. Um, we're just chilling in the middle, so there's not going to be anything that I would want to trade um, until we're up here or until we're down here. So I'm kind of hanging tight. We push down to these lows. Now I'm kind of starting to think, okay, are we going to get like a higher low set up? There's our higher low, but that's not a great signal bar. That's really it's kind of neutral. I'd rather see this as bearish even. So that's not where I want to buy the higher low trade. I need a strong signal bar on higher low trades. You get stopped. Here's a second entry long off this high, but again, the signal bar is a doji. That's not going to be strong enough for a second entry type trade. Um, just kind of no action right now. Still getting caught up in this range. Now we get a push below. Um, so this swing right here is higher than this swing. So this is a lower high, but we're not shorting into the support. That's never going to be a good idea. Um, so, and of course, the signal bar is terrible. There's no trade, but we're just counting. Our next trade would be like a failed second entry. If we can get below this support area, might be worth considering. That ends up not playing out, and there was a second entry long right there. Again, super sideways. This one worked, and I feel like this one is within system. But you could see right here we have this red bar, a bar inside of that, and another bar that's inside of that. So, and then all of these really are inside of this red bar. So, you wouldn't, if I would have drawn it out, right? You wouldn't have been as confident real time buying that. That even though it's a second entry long, and I think that on these, how do I say this? If you want to be aggressive, okay, you'll pretty much take every second entry, every failed second entry, and every lower high that's within the market context, right? But you're also going to experience some losses that could have been avoided. And then, like I said, on a day that's slow, uh, the least amount of decisions you can make, the better off you'll probably be. So I wanted to, I didn't trade this morning. This wasn't good enough for me. I wonder if that goes 1.5 just for the sake of observation. So in this case, to the tick. Now, the way I manage my trades, once we get to an 8 tick move, my stop order moves to break even +1. So in this case, and that's why I do that, because if I don't get filled on my target, I don't want to take an L on a trade that already went 8 ticks. So I probably get stopped out break even +1 if I had taken a trade like this. But like I said, I don't think I would have. I wouldn't have traded that. We're getting a breakout of the range. Notice how we got this close. That's significant. All the other breakouts have only been uh, wicks. Over here, we got some closes. I wasn't really considering that when I said that, but can we get a close outside here? Let's see if that means anything. And let's look at this price action, right? We had this congestion zone, a breakout. See how we didn't get any breakout pullback? Once we broke below this bar, we kind of know what time it is. It's gonna break outside, it's gonna come back, it's gonna break outside, it's gonna try to come back until we get that breakout pullback. So see right here, see what happened? We push, make a new low, but there's no breakout pullback. And the second we get those buyers showing up to the market, it goes right back into this zone. That's pretty much what we'd expect every time. Here is a couple ways. I mean, it's a higher low. I tend to see this more like a higher low. You could also see this as a second entry. I mean, off this high, first entry, and then you got to think about that real time. This bar breaks lower, and at that point, once it breaks above, that's a second entry. That's generally not how I see them. It's just a little easier to see this as a higher low. Generally, I don't like engulfing bar higher lows, so this again is a trade that I'd skip. And then if you want to take it there, this would have been at the time my signal bar, right? We broke below, and then as we worked up, so I wouldn't have bought with this type of signal bar, and then I would have waited for this bar to close. And at the close, it is bullish for sure, but we're kind of equal distant on each side with the wicks. It just it's just not my best play. There's going to be a better play, and I'm cool just waiting for that. It's already almost 7, so you might have been at the chart for like an hour now, and that's exactly what Mac talks about with you got to learn how to sit on your hands, because it's days like this where you get just a little too antsy, and you really shouldn't have more than 2 trades by now. If you have more than 2 trades at this point, yeah, you might be over trading, depending on your style. Either way, pushes higher. Interestingly enough, there's a second entry short right there, but it's the middle of the overall range. We do have some consistent highs up in here. In fact, it's still kind of playing off of this area, right? This 1275 area. So if you're seeing that and you feel like being aggressive, I kind of actually like this short. But and then it's a failed breakout of this high. See how we broke higher? Anybody who's doing like a breakout sort of play, expecting the test, because some people are still looking back from this measured move and thinking, oh, we're gonna go test the highs. And I'm with that, but not necessarily yet. It could do a bunch of things before it does that. So I'm not really using a breakout play to run that, but people are, right? And so all those people just got trapped. And so you got a second entry short off this low, first entry, second entry, strong bear signal bar. Not really a lot of room to the EMA, but you do have a lot of room to this support area, which is probably what it's going to test. Uh, I'm not going to mark this. I think this is very aggressive, and it's just not the day to be so aggressive. But I'm calling it out because if you know what you're doing, I think that's probably like the first like solid trade today. Nice sell right there. Again, a close below the support area. Um, I mean, even look back right here, right? We still have this sort of smaller congestion zone. Again, what happened, right? We broke outside. We didn't get that failed, that breakout pullback. So once we get this bear signal bar, we're expecting it to come test this 4208.75, right? It's done it 3 times. Breaks out here, comes back. Breaks out here, comes back. Breaks out there, comes back. Until we get that breakout pullback, we're probably going to keep swinging between these areas. And so right there, it's just congestion, bar inside of a bar inside of a bar. It's nothing that I would trade. Although in terms of the sequence, there's a lower high right there. Too many inside bars to take that. You're going to short right into the support. Not a good idea. We continue to push lower. And then this is the first trade that I genuinely saw and liked and set up an order for. I like this one. It's a failed second entry long off this high. Tried to go higher once, fails. Tried to go higher twice on a terrible signal bar. If this fails, that should be decent. Um, in terms of our larger range, it's a failed breakout, pushed in, failed back out. So once we get a close below this level, we might have a trend lower. Um, it's a little early because I would have already wanted to create a like micro trend down. Like the next bar to close below this level of O2 or 4207.50, that's when I'm going to go ahead and draw that line. So the only downside to this trade is that it's slightly early and we are close to these lows. You can't be too surprised if we kind of get near this level and again pop back. But to me, this made a lot of sense, and I really I like that trade. As always, let's go ahead and see how much we can get out of these things. Uh, doesn't break lower there, but it does right there. So once it breaks lower there, you're in the trade. I kind of like that still. Sometimes I don't like these double bottoms and inside sort of things, but see how this bar broke above, made a double top, and then came back out the low side. I would have just had my limit order or my stop order just waiting. And this is a situation where I would really want a limit order. And if you weren't quick, I don't think it filled you. Um, you had to have been like, I think if you would have even given it like 5 seconds, you would have missed because it triggered and then it pulled back for a few seconds. And then I don't think it came back after that. So yeah, now we're just kind of chilling, waiting. Get your target right there. Uh, pretty easy trade in my book. So I missed something. Right there is when I want to draw that micro bear trend. Once I get that close below that level, so I would have probably drawn it like this. Got 3 points of contact. Um, I don't always care about the channel side line, but lately I've been using them because oftentimes if we get like some sort of overextension, that kind of lets me know that we're not gonna um, break outside and retest or something like that. In this case, we don't even really get there. So you still, oh, actually we do, my bad. Let's see where this is going. Oh yeah, look at that. Almost like a perfect touch. And then again, right here, we're getting the bar open and close inside of an open and close, right? So um, just to help you navigate what your next decision could be down here, I just like to draw these little staples. Let's just see how price responds around this area. I'd be looking at a new low. So here's a higher low. So there is a potential for like that breakout pullback would be a failed second entry short, or we're looking at a nice signal bar at the EMA that's going to be just a regular second entry short. So we're kind of between those two ideas right now. See how we're getting above this EMA? That's starting to tell me that that second entry short idea isn't going to be the move. And if we do get that second entry short, uh, I might want to play the failure more than the traditional second entry. But then again, we haven't even gotten a good signal bar at this point, so we're just still kind of waiting to see what's going to happen. Okay, boom. There's okay. Those are our sellers. That's not our signal bar. Because this red bar broke lower, this is the signal bar, and that's incredibly bullish. So I wouldn't have shorted below that area. And I even at the close, I wouldn't have seen this close and then dropped the limit order. No, that's not the trade we're looking for. Um, and then it's right into that EMA. That's generally not what we want to see unless it's like ranging ish. Um, and these sort of breakout trends, you really want to play off the EMA or to the EMA, but not into the EMA, if that makes sense. And so then right there, right, we get that sort of failed break lower, and then we get a close back up inside. I want to go long above that bar. And it's relatively small, 6 ticks. The risk isn't that bad. Again, it's kind of another trade where you're a little early. I would prefer to see this very next bar. I want to see it close above this level, and then I'm going to draw my trend line going the other direction. And we still haven't seen like a break retest. So you're early, but when you think about the context of the day, really this ends up just being like a breakout of the range that uh, fails, and looks like it's going to come test back the support. Another thing that we're going to note is obviously we have a bar inside of a bar inside of a bar. So that adds a little bit of like aggressiveness to that position. Um, to be honest with you, I didn't care in this situation, and I don't have a great reason why. Um, right? Because that's the hard part. It's like, okay, well, if you didn't take the trade over here or over here, why are you going to take it over here? Um, I'm working on that. I think initially the main thing is that, especially in this one, if you look left, we've been choppy, sideways, barbed wire, wiki, all that type of stuff you want to call it. But over here, when we look left, we're in a clear breakout bull trend, right? Bull bar, bull bar, bull bar, bull bar, bull bar. So we're definitely in some sort of trend, and the context isn't exactly the same. That's the best I got for you now, but we're going to keep sort of examining when it's okay to ignore it and when it's not okay to ignore it. And then again, over here, you're trading into that EMA, which is a range. Sometimes you can get away with that, but it's not. It's just not good protocol, you know. And then over here, the EMA is acting as support. That's a lot better. Get the break above, and you notice how we test that high side, and then we get those sellers. So that I won't say makes me nervous, but I definitely see that, and I'm like, maybe I got trapped. But you just got to wait a bar, and we get above that area, and then this is actually a little bit unsettling as well because it ticks your take profit and then creates this bear bar. And given that this is a zone, we're expecting it to come test this level 0675, right? Kind of a failed breakout. So if you're seeing all of this, by this point, my stop is already at break even plus one. Uh, this probably isn't the situation that I would leave the entire trade on the play. Maybe I would, if I really want to see this tick through. And at this point, I'm pretty sure it's going to come stop me out at break even. It's pretty obvious what's going to happen. So if I can see that ahead of time, this would be a good situation where I would play the entry bar stop, and all that is once your entry bar closes, you can put a stop, generally 2 ticks below your entry bar, but that gets me in the same place as my regular stop. So this would be a situation I just move my stop 1 tick, and I can survive a 5 tick loss. I'm making 10 ticks per win. Um, a 5 tick loss won't be the end of the world. But if I'm going just with my regular standard management, I'm already at break even +1. So, and then, you either get stopped +1 or you are at '06 flat. And you can see kind of, you know, and that's actually an interesting point, right? So let's talk about this because I did notice this. This trade, we're like, okay, we're gonna ignore the congestion zone because it's in a trend, da 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 da. But if we look, when it breaks, it ticks our take profit and comes back and stops all the break even traders. And then over here, same sort of thing where we get this second entry long and it ticks the take profit and stops out all the break evens and stops out anyone who wanted to give it room. So maybe that's something to be aware of is if you're going to take these trades out of the congestion, because really, it's kind of like a breakout trade at that point. Um, you need to be on point because if it ticks this take profit without swinging through, at least today, and I don't think a single day is enough of a sample size to say, oh yeah, all the time. But at the same time, it is enough, and you just have to keep a mental note, or even better, keep a like stat sheet. And we would just like in the stat sheet, just record all the instances where the trades like this hit the take profit and come back for break even, or hit the take profit and stop you out completely, or like in this situation, because I was working on this trade, it chops around for a little bit before going higher. So that is the common thread. Is it does seem like we get these sort of, you know, it to the tick reversals, and obviously that generally we need to tick through to win the trade. Um, Sometimes you'll get lucky and you'll get out, but more times than not, you're going to want to see it tick through. So all in here, we're just congested. You could just extend this range if you wanted, but you can pretty much see it with your eyes. There's no trade in there. Here's a second entry long, and it's kind of that same principle of like you're trying a breakout. Um, if I would have got stopped break even on this trade, I don't think I'm down to just buy this again. I want to see it get above this area before I make a trade or get below. So I wouldn't trade that second entry long, and it wouldn't have done you any favors. If your stop is down here, you're still good. Now we're getting the breakout side. If you were holding on through all of that, uh, you get your exit. Um, how long was this congestion zone? 49. Yeah, 30 minutes or so, a little more than 30 minutes. So it just depends, like if you manage your trades kind of hands off, you either break even or you're good. Just depends on how you want to manage. So now we have this clear congestion zone. Uh, we got the breakout. I want to see a breakout pullback, and then we're going to draw a bear micro trend. But before we do that, what we can do as well is we can say that this is leg one, and this is leg two. So depending on our next setup, let's see if we come and test this 1325 level. That's that bear signal bar. We haven't had the breakout pullback yet, but then again, that bear signal bar is a first entry. It's not a good short in this context. And then here's a second entry, but again, you got a bar open and close inside of an open and close inside of the open and close. Even though it breaks higher, like I said, these are all just kind of like failed breakouts, and it'll get kind of crazy if you do it for every single congestion zone. I like to call these little zones like staples. I'm working on that name. But yeah, it gets a little crazy if you do it for every single area. But if you kind of have like a trigger finger, like a happy trigger finger, like then it'll probably help you stay out of stupid trades. Luckily, it never breaks lower, so you don't have to worry about that. And we did come and test that 25 level to the tick. Uh, okay, interesting. See, I mean, it's amazing how accurate some of this shit is. It really blows me away. And we'll go just a little bit longer. It's already 8:30, but since it's such like a short day, we can go just to like 9. And I feel like I spent a little bit more time talking about like technical ideas today instead of just, this trade, that trade, this trade, that trade. But anyway, back to what we've been kind of working on all day today then is we have this staple zone. We get a breakout. There's no breakout pullback. Once we get yeah, wow, this is actually really amazing. Sorry, I got to nerd out real quick, right? But let's look at this play, right? Let's look at this play. Um, this is the new low. We got the first entry, a congestion zone, a breakout, no breakout pullback, perfect measured move, bear signal bar. The break below here is a second entry short. Look how far we are from the EMA. We're at least expecting it to come test 10 flat. I would say this is aggressive. It's like you have to kind of see all these things real time. And just depends on how locked into the game you are to see this real time. But if you're seeing this real time, that's not a terrible trade. That's not a terrible trade at all. This is a very interesting trade. I don't think I'd take that though. I'd probably just wait for the long. I forgot to mark this one. I thought that was a good trade still. Um, but if you're seeing all these things, we're gonna come at least there. And since this bar doesn't seem like it's huge, you might be able to scalp before. Yeah, you can scalp out this trade before you even get to that zone. And I don't know if it goes far enough. Okay, yeah, it does go far enough. Um, you know how it be. You do that whole explanation of like why this is like an interesting, aggressive. This is aggressive though. This is like an interesting, aggressive trade, and then it like doesn't even win, and you're like, oh, actually, scratch all of that. None of that is the rules, you know. But nah, we're good. That's for sure aggressive. And then again, it just depends on how close to your P's and Q's you are, because we come and test this area, and if we break above this bar, that's going to be a failed second entry short. Not literally, but just contextually. The slow first attempt, second attempt. We not quite at that EMA. I'd like to see it touch the EMA and touch this support. But if it does break above, that is a trade, and we're definitely in a um, bull trend. Even if you draw this bigger channel, the trade looks worse. Not even gonna lie. I didn't even draw this channel. I'm drawing this channel just on this video. If I would have drawn this channel, I don't really love. I would love price to just go one more bar down, and then I'm cool with it. See, but the trigger's there. So now you have your decision. Do you want to just say F it, take it? If you just took this trade, I imagine it's somewhat tough to um, trade this. But honestly, real time, I didn't take that trade, and I was anticipating this trade. So for me, I kind of saw this trade more. Um, not a great signal bar, but then again, on these failed second entry plays, we don't care about the signal bar. I don't like seeing dojis per se, though. I'd almost rather see like a bear bar than a doji, but that would be the trade. So now we just wait and see. Um, this it's like a higher low engulfing bar, but it doesn't mean anything in the context of the way we trade. So other than it's a good sign, hopefully we're gonna keep pushing higher, and then there you get your target. And that takes us into 9 o'clock. I think that's solid. Um, it was a slow day, but to be honest, it was kind of an easy day, right? Like once you get the patience part of the game down and you get, because the main thing with the patience part, there's two ways to kind of learn patience in trading. It's like you have a really good mentor and they tell you to be patient and you believe them and you do it, or you don't have the mentor or you don't believe your mentor and you just take a bunch of trades and you lose a lot until you realize you would have been profitable if you just did less. So I'm well into my journey in that regard where I don't really feel pressured to just find a bunch of trades. But I mean, there were still, I don't think we would have traded those. Three trades. Three trades is a little slim. By nine, that's a little slim. But they were all good for way more than a 1 point scalp or even a 1-to-1 scalp. Um, Oftentimes you can get 2-to-1 on these trades, but I like 1.5 because it's that in between, especially in the like win rate. Um, it's a good psychological thing where like you can still have a pretty high win rate with a 1.5 target, um, whereas with a two target, you'll still be actually very profitable with a 2-to-1 target or 1-to-2, however you like saying it, right? One risk, two reward. But your win rate won't be as high, and depending on your psychology, taking those losing trades might affect your next trade, or it just depends on how you are. I like 1.5, but that's another video. And that's what I saw today, at least through 9, and then I went ahead and went to the gym at 9. I didn't stick around past here. It was really no point. We'll just kind of scroll through the rest. Let's just see how some of this price action plays out. See how we get this congestion zone up here, and we get this kind of breakout. Did we get all the way to these highs? We don't get all the way to these highs. Um, but in these ranges, we don't always get a, oh man, we don't always get the breakout and retest, right? So, um, like over here, we had a trend, it broke out and just reversed. And then similarly, we have a trend, and I say that because I was watching after the fact this trade. This is a failed second entry long, right, off this high. First attempt to go higher fails. Second attempt to go higher. The break below here is a failure. And you might not take this short because you're like, oh, well, we haven't done the retest thing. But again, it doesn't always happen in these ranges. In these ranges, sometimes it just gets to the high or the low, wherever it wants to go, and it just reverses. So, and then if you draw this smaller congestion zone, that's your breakout pullback that at least, right, if the next bar can close below this bar, at least you're going to have a trend like that, right? So if you would have seen that, I like that trade. And you're probably going to see it test the midline. Or no, that's not my midline. That's the support. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's aggressive because the midline is actually up here. So it's aggressive for sure. But if you're seeing it, I mean, it's I don't know if I said this on video on my channel, but I was doing a review with some other traders, and the big thing about this is like most people watching my video at least probably know who Mac is, which means like you learn this system from somebody else. So you can't take any of these trades too personal. You don't own any of these trades. You didn't create the idea for these trades. Really, the only thing you should be thinking of is you are a like a project manager. You are an operator, and it's your job to identify the opportunity areas and execute uh, flawlessly. So whether it works or not, that one did. But whether it works or not, don't take any trade too personal. Only thing that should be kind of personal is when you fuck up, right? When you fail to comply with your plan. That should be the only personal thing. Um, but like a losing trade that is a setup that you have three reasons to enter, If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's fine. But we ain't got to worry about that today. Not today. We got the bag today. But yeah, trading's going pretty well, and it's definitely a long journey for sure. But I'm happy with my results, so definitely very grateful. And I'm gonna have a good Memorial Day weekend. I hope y'all have a great Memorial Day weekend. I'm thinking about doing some more things on the channel. Maybe we can talk more about like risk management ideas. I've been studying this book on risk management, and it's very in depth. It goes well beyond um, where your stop goes and things like that. This is more like, what do you do if the Democrats make a law that puts a tax on futures trading? Have you considered that risk in your business? I was like, oh shit, I haven't, So just things like that. But I feel like these are all things that if you're going to make a career out of trading, you should be aware of at least. So I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you even make it this far in the video, if you want to see videos on like different risk ideas, different business ideas related to trading, and we could even do videos on like specific trade management ideas, kind of like what we were talking about here, where your stop goes break even, or when should you leave it at the entry, when should you go break even, things like that. So if you're into like videos like that, not just the daily reviews, let me know in the comments, or you can like DM me through YouTube or wherever. I've recently been, I've been wanting to work as a risk manager. So even if you just need like an accountability partner, someone who can kind of look at your trades and help you assess your trading plan, things like that, like trading plan audits, I'm open to it all. I definitely want to grow a community of just like legit traders. Like we're super legit. We just didn't go through the traditional route. So I'm ranting, but I think it's important. So yeah, let's keep studying. Let's keep working. Stuff is all right though. Until next month, this is Kamal Hart. I'm out. See y'all.